Lawrence of Arabia, directed by David Lean, is a textbook example of a fundamental mastery of visual storytelling. It doesn't have to use any fancy lighting or editing tricks to get its point across and keep the viewers engaged. It achieves this with a great story which is told through simplistic yet perfectly crafted cinematography. Every scene and transition in this film was designed specifically to help Lean present the story he wanted to tell in an engaging yet subtle way. The first scene I want to look at is this one right here, where the two main characters up to this point are riding camels away from the camera in this empty desert landscape. But even with how little information the audience is receiving in this shot, David Lean found a way to keep your attention right where he wants it for the entire shot. Look at these rocky dunes off to the side, both at where they meet the sand and where they meet the sky. These points create perfect lines to guide the viewer's eye directly towards the subjects, keeping the viewer's attention in the middle of the screen throughout this entire long wide shot. The scene then transitions to a scene of the two characters setting up camp for the night with a slow dissolve. However, if we look to the left in this shot, you'll realize that this bundle of sticks and rocks still keeps the exact same guiding lines from the previous shot, keeping the viewer's attention in the middle of the screen. And the use of the slow dissolve keeps the change from being too jarring to the audience and helps keep these lines in the exact same spot. Even with everything around the subjects changing, Lean still knows how to keep the viewer's attention exactly where he wants it to be, which demonstrates mastery of this simple filmmaking technique. And to show how universal this skill is, let's compare it to another transition that accomplishes the exact same thing, but in a completely different style. And for this, we'll take an example from one of my favorite directors, Edgar Wright. In this scene from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the two characters, Scott and Knives, are having a conversation, and between this shot and this shot, Wright moves us to an entirely new location, but by keeping the two characters in the same spot in the frame, and allowing the conversation to continue with the use of a J-cut.
Sorry, you were saying about me?
I mean, I've never gone out with anyone so talented.
It all flows pretty seamlessly and keeps the viewer's attention on the characters, even with everything around them changing, just as Lean does in Lawrence of Arabia. These two transitions do not look or feel the same at all, because, let's face it, these two movies are exact opposite when it comes to pacing, but they both manage to accomplish the same thing, and the subtlety with which it's done in Lawrence of Arabia is something that I really appreciated the first time I watched this movie. Another transition I want to talk about comes from right at the beginning of the film, when we transition from the British office in Cairo to the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula. And this is one of the most famous shots from this entire movie. I'll play it real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. See? It's a match cut. The shift in tone with this hard cut is obvious, as we're taken from a British fort to an empty desert, but the use of a hard cut here magnifies the vast difference between the two shots and the two locations exponentially. From a close-up to a wide shot, from movement to standing still, from sound to silence. It all helps symbolize the large contrast between the modern militarized British and the less developed tribal warfare going on among the native people living in Arabia. This is how you do an establishing shot, and it's easily one of the most memorable moments in the entire film for me, and for many people who admire this movie. Now, every scene that I've talked about here comes from the first third or so of this movie. It would take me forever to discuss every brilliant shot or transition in this 3-hour and 42-minute film, so I highly recommend that you just go out and watch it for yourself if you haven't already. It really is one of the better constructed movies I've seen in a long time, and is more than worth the time commitment.